Yo, check it out. Want to know if the price of those wave runners is too good to be true? Or if I Wear My Kicks 49 is truly selling dead stocks? Or if that Jordan 1 Royal Box is original? eBay checks. See that little blue check mark? Behind it is a team of independent authenticators who check. And we mean everything. Every tongue, check. Every toe box, check. Every corner of every box, check, 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 check. Every logo, every label, every lace loop. Yeah, it's checked. The luster of the leather, the topography on the tags, to the straightness of the stitching on the sole. Everything you can see, and even some things you can't.
Really?
Then they tag them, log them in the system, box them up, and ship them out with no cost for the buyer or seller. eBay checks, so the moment you open that box is as real gets.
The series is tied up at 1 apiece after the guard comes out and absolutely decimates M80 on Haven. After a close game on Ascent, you might have expected another close game here, as it is a map these teams have played on, and it's a map they're both proficient at. But the guard just proved to be an absolutely different beast on Haven, and M80 had no solution for what the guard was bringing to the table. And now things get real interesting, Tanner, because we move into uncharted territory. This is like a cartographer and there's just a black void on the map. Yep. That's where we're headed. We have no idea what M80 is going to bring to the table for Bind.
We are definitely jumping into the fog of war here for M80. And Shift kind of gave us the, hey, I'm excited to see what the desk has, the theory craft. And I think there is a lot that we can maybe mesh out. I feel the chamber right now for Bind, the meta right now for Bind is chamber for a lot of teams. Okay, we got there. Box rubbing off on me. And I don't think there's a world where maybe John plays a chamber, maybe Nismo jumps over to the Rays, Koala could play smokes, but it's just, again, like you said, it's uncharted territory.
I think you're spot on with John playing chamber. A lot of people forget, they're watching this M80 play, that in the past, when he played on Ghost, John played chamber, Nismo played Raze. The composition was obviously a little bit different, as the meta was completely different at the time, but there was a world where that could be the approach. Now, it's not to say that other compositions don't work on this map. It's certainly possible we could see John stick to something more traditional to his agent selection path, looking at like a Killjoy. We've seen him play Cypher, but much rarer than the Killjoy. But I am intrigued at the possibility of the return of John QT on chamber.
Yeah, and they actually changed their comp, right? Going into Ascension. Jonah P was on the Sage originally, and they swapped him over to Sky. I'm really glad that they did this because we were highlighting pregame. Jonah P is incredibly well Sky player. He's very annoying. He's good at peeking with his pop flashes, so this was a good change. And same with Tex. Tex went from Raze to Chamber, and this is the comp that they changed going into Ascension. All of Split 2, they had Trent on Sky as well, but now they had Raze, Trent playing on Raze for Ascension. So 3 different players are playing 3 different agents, but it worked for them going into different maps. We're trying to decide what M80's gonna play in this comp. Yeah. I'm curious as well if they're gonna bring the chamber, because chamber's slowly coming back into being the meta.
All right, you want some kind of insanity? This old team, the core of M80, the old Ghost roster, as we've always referred to them, Koala Noob, John QT, and Nismo, who played with Brock and A-Proto, who are now on Moist Moguls. The last time they played Bind was under the Ghost Gaming moniker. It was back in January of 22. Prior to that, I don't know how many times this roster had actually played the map, because the roster changed right around that time. So there is a possibility where the core of this team has only played Bind once, which is just crazy to me to think that there is a world where the team who is seated on stage across from the guard right now has only played Bind one time. Tanner, that's absurd.
Yeah, which, again, doesn't make me feel any better. I think this would be shocking the world if they could piece something together. Dust actually said something in our chat here that I think makes the most sense, is that we probably do get some sort of double duelist with Koala playing the comfortable Jet. And Okay, actually, hold on. We can take a peek and see what it is.
Oh my
okay,
god.
So
Oh my
Koala
god.
Brimstone.
Hold on. John was playing Sky as well. What? Koala's playing Brim? This is an interesting composition, and I'm curious to hear the thoughts from our casters as we are ready to see M80 unveil Bind for the very first time in what seems like an eternity that this core has played the map. Dust, Shift, what are your thoughts on M80's composition?
I think the only thought we can have is about to find out today, brother. I mean, it's just, it doesn't feel like it's something that necessarily is unfamiliar to them because we've seen things like this on other maps, but it definitely brings an element of uniqueness compared to how other teams like to play map like Bind.
Yeah, I definitely had this kind of thought in my head, and I was even sharing it with the desk kind of privately, that I thought that there was a good chance we would see a composition from M80 similar to their Lotus composition on Bind, in which Koala Noob would play some type of smokes. I thought maybe he would just stick with Omen, 'cause that's a comfort thing, even though, you know, Brim's obviously more meta for the map, and then that they would have Nismo play the Raze. But we get Koala Noob on Brimstone, but everything else is kind of what I expected, and then the guard does decide to stick with the whole chamber setup that they had prior.
Yep. It's interesting, but it's not something that is completely unfamiliar to us. So we'll see how things go. The real only major difference maker here is that Koala Noob's obviously not playing Omen, he's playing Brimstone instead. Otherwise, this
Speaking
is
of
a
which,
pretty...
this is important. This is his first ever time playing Brimstone in an
There you
official
go.
match.
Okay. See how it goes. Opening pistol shot down through mid sands. Valen will come out on top. A little bit of help from team shots through. Guard will still also have Tex lurking in towards this backside of the A site. And how does he get the second? Quality doesn't quite catch the timing through his own smoke. Xander will try to get the spike to rotate over towards B, but he's going to be met here by two defenders already ready for him. And yeah, clean stuff here from the guard, John Q2. Last one left in 1v5. It's just about what can you find.
Yeah, without Spike in his possession and with everyone else being on the other side, there's not a whole heck of a lot that he can do. They have a pretty nice little bait and switch set up here if need be through hookah, but it's not required. Trent will just finish the job there with the frenzy. As the guard will go up 1-0, and again, they certainly come into this map as a heavy favorite. They have a 5-1 record on Bind. They beat 0-0 Nation on this map in the group stage. They were very dominant within North America. Their only loss was a very close one, the Moist Moguls. Again, they were typically running the Sage instead of Chamber in the past, but they have made the switch to Tex playing Chamber and bringing him to the board, which we saw in the groups of this tournament, and they've kept up with that in this match. Again, this is M80's first ever time playing Bind, and as Box said, this is only their second time as a core playing Bind in a year and a half with the core Ghost members. So I think he said January of 2022. That's a long ways away.
Blinded.
Flash from Jonah P. Oh, he's got a handful blinded, but not enough apparently. M80 will still win out the first kill. That does allow them a chance to pick up Stinger. Sheriff's also in the mix here, so M80 do have the chance to fight from range, especially against what is a lot of SMGs for the side of the guard. Headhunter out for Tex is staying in towards Hookah while the rest of the defense tries to position through the sky smoke deep through screens.
Yeah, they do still have at least some control through back halls. Prowler's going to detect this presence though, and it's going to allow EU to get a little bit more forward here and try to play a close angle with the pistol. Tex going to try to move in with the Headhunter here. Nismo, though, beautiful
timing.
shot there. Yeah.
There's no follow-up allowed whatsoever. Tex will also be held in place. And this is just all about waiting out the clock here if you're M80. Tex on the way down. What? How does he get that? Plus also teleports away. Net also getting one gives Tex a chance at this, which he does find at least one with the Ghost, but the Headhunter doesn't quite lock it in, and EU will counteract the opening pistol win by the guard.
And this is our first steal that we've seen this series. The first time a team's been able just to come right back in the second round and even it up at 1 apiece. And again, while M80 have not played Bind, just considering how explosive a team they are in general, I could see this map suiting them if they were to kind of adopt it. You know what I mean? I feel like just, you know, considering how quickly you can attack short A, how you can do these fast side splits and feint and teleport, like, it just seems like M80, if they have the reps and from practice, which we can't know, that their style would suit the map. You know what I mean?
Well, hold on here, Second Dust. We have a 3-man stack inside this mid connection where Xander is watching. But as this smoke fades, there's a flash being held by Jonah P. It does not affect Xander, but still Valen wins the gunfight. And oh boy, Stim Beacon comes through. The guard will now dominate control through mid, and it splits this M80 offense into 2 pieces, which EU is trying to recover through. Getting one is not terrible, but still, it's a 2-2 split here.
Yeah, and he's going to get flanked and taken down. He was a little bit concerned about the hookah presence, and so winds up getting caught out. Nismo catches Tex here up top, even it back up. Net in a little bit of trouble. He's getting split from a couple different angles at once. Just a classic to his name, and Nismo will eradicate that as well. And so now it's starting to settle down.
One enemy remaining.
Yeah, I'll say. Trent, last one left. Can't really do too much. Good idea here from the guard, but I think the one big thing about it is flat out the weapons come through for M80. Kills are decent. And even though the opening was pretty punishing, M80 survived through it, and now we're going to get our first full gun round.
Yep, and they don't have to do a whole lot of rebuying either. There's 5 with 3 members, so that's 3 rifles carried over into this next round, keeping their credits in a decent position. Obviously, nice that they were able to steal the eco in the second round. That really sets the guard back. I feel like they need to win a couple in a row just to get their economy back in order at this point.
Yeah, I'll
like
say.
Right back to saving, and it could easily be 4-1 start for M80.
Johnny P just throws a quick bit of shouldering, checks over through Sands. Does get tapped at just a touch, but the defense not really going to do too much in terms of reposition, deal with this. Hookah will be left open voluntarily, where the Toxic Screen will be the first point of contest for Net as soon as he hops and sees anything.
Yeah, Banks a snake bite in the front of Hookah to try to slow down any progression from M80 as they are certainly looking to run down this B side. They are all gathered up here. They have no presence anywhere else. And oh, Net gets caught jumping up. Awkward timing. Nismo is going to punish it, and now he's in the sight.
Shona? Oh,
He
for a
was
second.
so stunned.
Yeah,
I mean, he
I
was.
thought maybe for a second he was going to avoid line of sight, but not to happen. So
He was
Spike
in a
gets
different
planted.
dimensional plane, bro. He was
Yep.
wobbling.
The guard will just hold on to these last 2 weapons. Operator was called out early here for tech, so no reason to even try this.
Certainly not. So it will be 3-1 M80 on Bind, their first showing on the map. Quadu's first time ever playing Brimstone in a match. And so far, not so bad. Again, I always thought this team had the playstyle to suit Bind. Just, you know, you consider the options you have to play the fast short A plays with double controller, or just get on the sites quickly, then play post plant. That is kind of just M80's forte on some of the other maps in the pool. So they just never really had to try to flex Bind before now. But so far, it's interesting. And I mean, here's the other thing that you have to think about, though. It's like the guard has nothing on this team. They have
That's a
no
very
idea what
good
they're
point.
in for.
Yeah.
And so that element of surprise can sometimes be a problem, because maybe you've seen different things in practice, or maybe you have a good idea on the variety of ways people can play Bind, and so you kind of build your defense and such over time through the different looks you get. But it's different feeling a team in an official match on stage that you have not witnessed before.
Sure, and even though the composition feels familiar, the timings of the map are just crazy, flat out. Like, you're just not going to be able to predict what exactly M80 want before they execute, or how they want to set up their post plants, and what utility they may hold on to. Yeah, it's a crazy situation without question when it comes down to trying to read the overall tempo of the map, I think, if you're the guard right now.
Yeah, I mean, you know that M80 likes to play fast, so you're expecting explosive plays, but you just don't quite know exactly what they're going to look like and where they're going to happen at any given time. So it's definitely an uphill climb from the guard in that regard. Now, for M80, on the other hand, obviously there's film to look at on the guard, and that certainly helps, but they have made this massive pivot with bringing the chamber into their composition just for this tournament against 0-0 Nation, I believe it was, right? So if that's the case, it's kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, you might know some of the guards' fundamentals on this map from what they did throughout Challengers this year, but they've made their own pivot in composition, which means you yourself don't have that much film on how they want to play this comp. So the mystery almost goes both ways, but certainly it leans more heavily in favor of M80, who are definitely just, don't know what to expect.
Well, we're going to get our first look this time, speaking of not expecting things, of what M80 want to do to try to contest over towards Showers. It's been a lot of focus through mid and a lot of focus through Hookah till this point. So a bit of a Viper battle over towards Shower side, while Nismo actually not going to pop the Showstopper here, and he runs right into the waiting arms of a judge. VALORANT also following up, takes care of Xander through Shower side. So huge advantage here for the guard defensively, and they're finding weapons on top of that to make this even more formidable.
Yeah, they're going to try to quick teleport with this spike over to the other side, and Quality's doing a good job actually holding these players down, and that might cause them to double the spike back, and indeed they do. They're going to come through market. VALORANT going to go ahead and pop Art here to flush out the Lance player. He does get the frag on the Koala. But now
players.
they can double back again if they want to.
They sure could, but they're going to commit forward. Valen shut down. The traded orbital strikes does keep us at a 2v2. EU at a single point worth of health, and John Keating will get to work trying to change that, but through the box. Trent, big win. And actually, hold on a second. Whoa, what just happened? He pulled out Showstopper and then canceled it?
Yes.
So now it's down to Tex for the 1v1. John Cutie will get the plant and back away off the near box through U-Haul. Still holding pretty close. There's the check, and Tex will save the round.
Brother. Let him know, Tex. Go ahead, let him know. What a shot. Jump, sticks the landing, pulls the trigger at just the right moment to be accurate, but just fast enough to get the frag before his opponent can respond. Definitely a weird interaction with Trent with the Showstopper on the site. I'm not quite sure what happened there. He must have just hit the wrong key in the heat of the moment. Those things do happen. A little bit of a slip, but it wound up not mattering.
Player standing.
As his teammate Tex is able to finish the job.
That angle makes it even more awkward, I would say.
Yeah. No harm, no foul. Tex saves the day.
Still one of those things, though.
Up.
You don't want that all to just go up for nothing.
Sure.
Especially in a tight game. Full purchase still valved. Tex stole the operator. Seekers at the ready. Nismo still holding on to his Showstopper.
Jiggling for information here at Fountain. Sky is so powerful defensively on this side of the map just because of the guiding lights and Trailblazer. You can just get so much info all the time at Fountain in these slower rounds, which really helps you dictate your rotations. And it's something that M80 might not be, I'm sure they've seen it, but they might not be privy to feeling it in server, having not played it officially yet. Hate to beat the dead horse, but it matters so much.
Yeah,
with
you're
what's on the
absolutely
line.
right. And at the moment, I mean, again, just based on how the guard is setting themselves up, it's just a little poke and prod from net through showers, but a lot of focus on their defenses to make sure that this B-long stays safe. And they've been successful in keeping M80 away from that angle. But as the Seekers get pulled offensively, M80 will make their move over towards A on the mid-cut. Nismo, this time Showstopper will be a part of the play. Just trying to clear things out up and over the truck, and you will find Trent lurking in towards Lamps Halls. Qualidube also finds another one deeper on towards the site. Battle back by Valen only gets one, and the numbers for M80 very significant. Tex the last one left, and as he gets shut down, it's M80 up 2.
Yeah, and again, that is kind of what I envisioned M80 to look like on this map. You know, having the theory craft, having to do guesswork, just knowing their play style and knowing how good Nismo is maneuvering with Raze. I really did think their short A attacks would be quite deadly, and we definitely have seen that be the case already a couple of times in this half, and I imagine we're going to see it more and more. Nismo's going to be able to kind of, you know, change up his routes on which side he chooses to attack Lamps from. I'm sure he's very, you know, savvy with the satchels. He's obviously going to know how to use the boombot to clear out hookah position on default. You know, he's going to be good to go, and M80 are able to flex their playstyle on this map very nicely. Uh-oh.
Different setup this time with the guard on the half by. Have the tour out for Tex. Shotgun for Trent, who sneaks on the opposite side of Xander's toxic screen. Now Xander's a little bit stuck, or is he? Classic gets the job done for the trade, but damage has been dealt. 3v3 situation, tough shots for Net, doesn't quite land it. And with Valen on what looks to be about 10 HP, yep, he will be in a very tough spot trying to rotate over into a 1v2.
Not going to be easy by any means. EU is low on health. That's one little thing that kind of helps him out. He's got a couple of smokes still left, maybe try to limit some angles. But nah, not even really going to get much going at all there. Immediately taken out by EU. M80 are certainly liking to make these quick pivots through the teleporter. Also not surprised to see that from them. Viper's Pit now available for Xander. Full buy still coming through. Plenty of credits to go around. Op is out again for Tex. Viper's Pit available for Net to lock down one area of the map early. And I mean, for M80 coming into this with, you know, no resume at all, so far so good.
Yeah, passing the eye test, right?
Yep.
This time offense, once again, full 5-man stack over towards mid.
Gunner.
Viper's Pit will defensively be used over towards B as Valen just takes a dry peek through mid connector and takes off ahead. So Xander will drop. M80 still trying to force their way forward, but as Valen takes down another, M80's hopes of trying to continue forward on this angle are pretty much out the window.
Valen's just DMing short A right now, dude. He's just sitting back and popping domes. M80 not even able to get anything going here. Showers will get cleared out by Jonah P just to make sure that they aren't setting up a split. He's going to do it again with the guiding light. He's going to get a good flash on that. Knows that they're still present. they'll just keep their defense in place, right? I mean, they got Viper's Pit, the lockdown, Octagon. They have presence inside Hookah. I mean, they got everything covered. It's no problem.
There is no reason to move. Jonah P is going to try to find some timing here, though, and actually a little bit of a burst play from the guard. Goes 2 for 2, though, so the trade's not as efficient as the guard I'm sure we're hoping for, but still, it's a 1v3 situation for Koala as he will collect the orb and just back away.
Yeah, not too shabby. Yeah, they're going to lose a couple of players on that, but they still have a 3-on-1.
30 seconds
They still have everything pretty much covered. Going to be very tough for Koala to do much here. He's able to get a smoke that might allow him to get out, but out only into the awaiting arms of Tex. And that's going to make it 3-5. The guard hanging around here in this half. All their rounds have been isolated, though. They haven't really been able to find a rhythm.
Sure, and I mean, you had the opening pistol, then you had the kind of heroic comeback to get the defuse off, but that round right there felt a little bit more par for the course, I think, for Fear the Guard. Just the ability of being able to kind of dictate and stop any early contest on the map, force them to have to play through mid. It just never feels good, I think, especially in the face of Tex sniping on one side, and you still have the ability to drop mollies and smokes on that mid cross anyways.
Interesting round ahead here, considering what alts are on the board and considering that we're back on equal footing as far as firepower is concerned. M80, a little bit of split pressure here. Prowler, as well as the Trailblazer being sent through the A side. I mean, they're putting a lot of utility into A, but they're not committing. Look at this push, though, to B.
But Xander may actually catch timing on this. Yeah, catches one in the corner, but Jonah P does fight back. Flash gets popped. John Cutie on the hunt. And this is all about just isolating Jonah P, trying to stop him from doing too much damage, but it may be a day late and a dollar short as he actually takes down Nismo as well. EU does slip through A, but he would have to find these 2 kills on rotation to make this a little bit more competitive, you'd think. Sniper rifle actually catches the wall, but doesn't matter. Tex has the headhunter to finish the job, and now it's just down to Koala Noob in a 1v2.
I also don't even know that he detected Trent was A heaven throughout that entire play.
I don't think so, no.
So Koala may be rotating into a situation where he thinks it's clear, and quite literally it's not. Trent is right here in back halls, waiting for Koala to start to play at any moment. Koala, though, doing his due diligence. He's clearing stuff out. He's weary that there could indeed at least be showers control that never got checked, because everything was through short A on their initial attack. So he's minding his P's and Q's to clear it out, but he's running low on time.
Thing is, he's got a lot of great post-plant tools. Orbital strike, molly, 8 shells, won't quite get there. Spam shot's also not fully gonna land, and Koala Noob will just kind of step in towards the smoke, maybe catch one on the cross, but Tex, how does he hit that? Running and gunning with the headhunter, and that'll put the guard back to within 1.
I don't think that was an intentional gap on that smoke either. I think that was a missed smoke.
I don't think so either.
And I think that just comes down to the fact that he hasn't played much Brimstone. Again, never played it in an official match that we could find. And so that kind of gave the defense some easier peeks on them as he was trying to escape the site to set up in the 1v2.
No more dream.
Either way, the guards starting to find their footing defensively here, as typically they win kind of an equal amount of rounds, attack and defense. I mean, they're right under 60% on both sides of the map, so they feel very comfortable on attack and defense. And after a bit of a rocky start, they now start, finding themselves closing the gap and keeping this thing close. It's now 4-5. Timeout coming in here for M80 to talk things through.
Good time for one as well.
Yeah, certainly. It seems like their sails are starting to lose a little bit of wind. The gusts are dying down, and so time to figure out a way to adjust.
Yeah, and I think the thing here for M80 is you got to start thinking about this B long setup. They haven't even really contested B long at all, which is why I think the guard take that as a chance to push through and say, let's see if we can get over towards Fountain side. The same can be said through showers. I mean, everything's going to either come through hookah or right through mid. Nothing has been played through showers or over towards B long side. And I think if you're M80, you need to diversify just a touch here.
Yeah, but the problem is how deep can their playbook even be, right? Like, we just don't know what they've been able to work on if they just decided to not worry about buying and just really focus on everything else. And hey, if it came down to playing buy, we'll just kind of freestyle it almost.
That's not ready. Teleport's ready.
So that'll be the big question, I think, to kind of answer yours. I just answered yours with another question. How deep is their playbook? How do you like them apple shift?
About to find out, brother.
Yeah.
Solo
you thought I was going to give you
defender.
something, I could just ask you another question instead.
Yeah, it's more of a hypothetical, rhetorical question, if you will.
Sure.
And once more, same setup here coming through. the defense of the guard, heavy stacked through B long. They don't see anything. It is just the solo defense of Tex on towards A. And this will be the first time that we've really seen Valen stack with net to double up in hookah.
Scout destroyed.
And that scout does not see anything.
Nothing.
Got shut down real hard. It's gonna get countered by the poison orb and try to, you know, stop M80 from wanting to go that direction.
Face your fear.
And they're just gonna nightfall the site. Are they gonna commit?
I don't even know if much gets hit by this. Offensive orbital strike though does land. Defensive one also getting used in response. Trades the kill feed, get us to a 4v3 situation in favor of M80. But the rotation's going over towards Texas direction. He does get flashed out. Teleports back. Viper's Pit keeps the rest of his push safe. A couple other spam shots coming through. The Headhunter also out just to try to make something heroic happen, but it won't fully work out. Quick contest though, Jonah P. right through shower side. He actually gets one and can step away now. Still decayed down low, and he'd be very careful at snake bite. Down to just a single point of health for now. Has to back off. Net on the other side is trying to work his way into sight still. Last flash for Jonah P. Doesn't quite see, I don't think, the player sitting in the corner. Predictions out, but doesn't make a difference. Xander gets the jump on it. And now Net in for a 1v3. Likely not going to do too much with this. There's the flash check. Net does step away to keep his life, but it will be a 6th round for M80.
Yeah, beautifully played around there from M80. You know, lobbing the utility on B, really keeping that double hookah stack present. Not really allowing anyone to rotate over to A to reinforce Tex's position, who was basically totally reliant upon his forward angle on short and the fact that he had his trip inside of showers to detect if anything had pushed through that direction. He gets nothing as he's blocked out by the Viper's Pit and a smoke and gets caught while he tried to pull the pistol out. That high-low play in the corner was never going to allow Jonah P any forward momentum there. And so M80 up 6-4. Nismo has the Showstopper available, so does Trent. I'm down for a low rocket launcher battle.
We very well may get it as well, based on how both like to use it. Net, once more, again, free control for the guard over towards B long. That has not been a problem for them in any form. It's been this hit towards hookah that's causing the most amount of headaches. Tex Trailblazer out, Nismo. Ooh. I would say both players pretty lucky to be alive after that engagement. Overgrowth get Nismo back to 100 HP. We'll stay 5v5.
Yeah, hookah control will be given over to M80. So they have that extra bit of real estate as they still have presence over towards showers. Short A kind of being dominated by Trent right now at the forward angle.
Yeah.
Guiding Light will come through there, kind of clear out towards Lantern John Cutie, but no commitment behind it. They are just kind of leaving the lurk of Xander inside of that long A area while they, again, just hold on to hookah and maybe look to pounce on B here.
Sure feels like that's going to happen. Trademark slows down Nismo pretty considerably. Showstopper towards Octagon, not going to work out. Trent also teleporting through, trying to clear out the backside of hookah, but the action really is happening more so over towards Xander's direction. He gets 2 lurking through A. Tex is still very healthy and on sight. Catches, oh, not one off guard. I thought he had Nismo dead to rights, but the footstep sounds allow Nismo a chance to react. One trade back from Trent, but still, this has to be a 2v4 situation. Nismo will not allow that to happen. A 7-4 tally comes through. 1 to play for the half.
Yeah, just a beautiful little play there from M80 because they're able to attack into B, get to the backside of it, and then use Xander's lurk through the attacking spawn, as well as his ability to cut off the A rotates to secure a massive advantage in the post plant. Not to mention Nismo catches Tex there despite being caught a little bit off guard, as you noted. He winds up with the hat trick, and again, Nismo on Raze is a beautiful thing. These days doesn't get to play it as often as QualiNoob's the primary duelist of the squad, but when he gets to break it out, particularly on Lotus lately, he's always been fantastic. Again, he is definitely a top player in almost every metric for Ascension and throughout Challengers. He is such a powerful star on this team.
This is a lot of trust here that Net can hold off this play with nothing but a Sheriff while the rest of the guard push through B long again. That's his second snake bite down. He does actually put a lot of damage into Nismo. I think that was a headshot, maybe partly through the box.
Regrowth though.
But, yep, absolutely. Healed back up. M80 going to get themselves a chance to plant. And now it's down to QualiNoob all of a sudden, trying to back away through mid. And he puts the stim beacon out just to try to survive a little while longer, but the shot's starting to come through for the guard. But oh, Xander picking things up through the mid cross, no worries. 3 kills for him. Snakebite lineups at the ready. Trent clears out U-Haul, but there's still so much the guard have to do here. And not a ton of time to do it. They will toggle the spike. That'll be enough for Xander to toss out his snake bite. Was not needed though. M80 clean up the half. 8-4 on their first attempt on bind.
Very impressive half. Particularly that final round was really well done.
I'm no doctor.
Again, Xander has been mint this tournament for this team. Again, we talked about how he wasn't always like the biggest star throughout Challengers, always kind of Koala Noob and Nismo who really took the spotlight when you look at North American Challengers. But at Ascension, Xander is top 3 in ACS and kills per round, and he is top 10 in almost every other metric. He has been absolutely phenomenal in this controller role for this squad, and he came up big in that final round. Nismo obviously also just having a field day on the Rays, as Nismo does when he gets to play Rays pretty much every time. So no shocker there. But yeah, that was definitely a great attacking side from M80 for their first go on this map. No doubt about it.
Very similar to what we saw in Ascent. Did never have to really go back on the ecos. We have a quick burst here from M80 right down middle. Shut down immediately though by the combination of Valen and Trent. Xander does get a trade off the action to get us to a 2v3, so more level numbers, but the guard get a chance to set up their post plant however they want.
Yeah, I really thought that M80 were going to have the jump there when they caught Jonah P in the corner still with utility out, and they were able to get the kill. I believe that was on net next to him, but Jonah P was able to kind of recover from it. He got some help from his teammates, and they wound up getting into a 3-on-2 post plant here.
Well, Valen just kind of playing with this retake. Stims his way out of there. Poison Cloud still ready for Xander to try to block off this Heaven Cross. But the problem is this bike is just in such a tough spot to just stick to. Xander's gonna give it a go, and he does get it to halfway. No one's taking any shots at this. Xander's gonna stick it, but no! Spike Diffuser gets killed just in the nick of time. I mean, just in the nick of time.
I mean, I don't know exactly how close that was, but it looked real close.
Close as I've seen in a minute.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. That was dangerously close. On the edge of the orb, sticking it the whole way through. That was really our only chance to win in that scenario. It certainly got very near it. We're looking at it here. All the bullets are going astray, but it's the knife of Jonah P that saves the day. I didn't know you could get a headshot with the knife. That's pretty interesting. I don't think it really matters in the grand scheme of things, but
that's massive.
He has the highest knife headshot percentage in Ascension.
And the curiosity point here for M80 is going to be how do they want to defaultly set up this defense? And they're putting a lot of focus on the outsides of the map here as well, at least initially. Again, it is just pistols, 3-2 split. E will see the utility streak in towards lamp side. Smoke will block them and actually kind of hold them inside of showers. Grenade comes out, but that is a mere inconvenience. Delays the plant for a little bit, but Trent will just hop right back on and get to work planting again.
No worries at all. Retake already being held at bay through the long side here as Texas pinching them from behind. The spawn is going to get some help here from Valen as well. Valen will do the honors. Should be a formality now.
Should be. Snakebite blocking the exit. Net checks it, gets the easy kill. John Cutie, Xander, the last two left. And they are just going to try to sacrifice themselves to the spike detonation, try to keep this flawless from finding any more kills.
So here we have it. The guard wasting little time closing the gap on the scoreboard by continuing to find success in these pistol rounds. They have been so good on pistols in this tournament. I want to say they're in that near 70%
They're plus 70%.
Yeah, and that's including now. I'm just thinking, like, trying to do the quick math, including what we've seen so far this grand finals. They've won what, 3 pistols of the 4?
That would have been 5 of the 6.
Okay.
Because we're in map 3.
Yes. I did the cardinal sin.
Tried to do caster math.
Doing caster math live. It's the wrong play every time.
It's either 5 or 4, one of the 2.
Yeah, when people ask me for casting tips, sometimes that's literally the first tip I give them is don't do math. And I just did it. So, didn't heed my own advice.
Well, the guard are going to make their approach in towards Hookah. There will be one waiting, but the flash out. Oh, Xander actually dealing a lot of damage, even though he does eventually fall. Could not quite fully get out of Hookah, and there are no other defensive players nearby, so this should lead to a very quick plant here for the guard.
Yeah, going to be 7-8 right around the corner, and so all of the good work that M80 did on their first go of bind to create some separation has now been shrunken quite a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Again, we have no idea how comfortable they are playing defense on this map. No stats to go off of, no eye test to rely upon, so hard to know. But what I can tell you is, again, the Guard, a team that's usually pretty good for finding 6 or more attacking rounds on this map. And so at this point, that would just be quite enough.
Yeah, sure would be. And again, we really do need to kind of keep our eye on what exactly, with still full weapons, M80 want to do defensively here, because in this first couple of rounds, it has been a lot of focus on trying to take over this shower side of the map at the moment. In that round, it's just the Viper laying by themselves, kind of hopefully delaying for what would surely have to be some sort of an early rotate, whether it's through teleporters or just around the back, and that doesn't come through. So what's this setup going to look like here again from M80?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I feel like they're going to be a team, just based on, if I just think about the rest of their pool and just thinking about Bind in general, that they're going to want to be proactive somewhere on the periphery of the map, whether that be through Octagon or whether that be inside showers. Like, I feel like they're not a team that likes to play back and play retake. They like to try to disrupt their opponents, especially a team like the Guard, who's very comfortable playing you know, the methodical default style. Like, you want to rattle them. You don't want to let them get comfortable and have a foundation to launch from.
And there's also the point of, you have a Sky and a Fade, so you've got a lot of tools to get early information and freely clear out those extremities. So once more, it'll be hookah focus here for the Guard. Very quick to get their approach. There is a judge in hand for Xander. He will be seen, and well, the threat is also known. A little bit of pre-fire coming through. Xander just going to pop up, throw a couple of shots, but Trent actually collects the kill. And now all of a sudden, the Guard can still commit forward as John Cutie gets caught. And that's going to lead to another very healthy post plant for the Guard.
Yeah, unfortunately, the judge had not become the executioner there. And so it allows the floodgates to open for the Guard on the site for the spike plant. And now a tie game is right around the corner, it seems. M80 just saving the rest of their weapons here on the opposite side of the map. Again, it's not often you get to see Trent play a duelist, but similar to Nismo, when he gets his chance to play Raze, the man can pop off. As Trent has been phenomenal. I mean, everybody has been known for a long time this guy is great. But I would say throughout Challengers, he kind of, you know, got maybe a little bit overshadowed by how well Tex was playing at times, or, you know, just the general, like, overall team play.
Right.
But this dude is leading in almost every category, essentially. I'm talking, he's #1 ACS, #1 KD, #1 average damage per round, #1 kills per round. He is top 3 in clutch percentage. Trent's giving it to you everywhere, all the time, all tournament long, all situations. I mean, he is a guy that, again, a lot of people already knew just how good he was. Again, he had an opportunity or 2 or 3 probably to be in VCT this year. Elected to stick with the squad, hoping that it would pay off, that they could ascend together. And he is certainly putting his best foot forward here in Brazil. And this team overall is certainly looking to put their best foot forward towards the second map in this series.
Well, it's an M80 timeout here, having really not found much at all on the defense, maybe save just the pistol round that had a little bit of cheekiness off the opener, but didn't fully work out. So, got to see something, and the problem has to be, what do we do about hookah at the moment? Because the last 3 rounds, the Guard have just walked into B, essentially, through hookah.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. I mean, there's really a couple different ways you can go about it. It's either you can test it, or you make sure that you control Octagon and long, and you have another anchor point in retaliation to having hookah being taken. It's either that, or you have to play more of a retake setup passively at elbow and back halls and just kind of like wait for the cavalry to rotate and then try to pinch in together. So there's a whole bunch of ways that you could go about doing it. But again, how many of those protocols do M80 have established?
Sure.
That's what this game comes down to a lot of the time, is throughout practice, throughout, you know, scrims and dry runs and whatever else your team does to prepare for a match. Part of that is building protocols, building a flow chart on how you want to approach certain situations. Do M80 have that decision-making process in place for all the different things that can be thrown at them on a map they've never played before competitively?
Yeah. Oh,
that's a tough one to say.
I will say that I would prefer to see them stay a little bit more restricted on these opening engagements, because the last 3 rounds that have come through, M80 defenders on A have just conceded the round. They haven't even had a chance to contest. Orbital Strike will opening things up here, though, for the Guard. Qualitative just trying to spam, seeing if he can get lucky, while the rest of the defense tries to rotate in. There are full weapons on both sides here, but look at the space that Jonah P's gotten through. Denies the first bit of utility, and then Jonah P finding the double turns. Oh, Jonah P. Paint shells follow up by Trent. And once again, John Cutie will have to just sacrifice the round to try to save the weapon.
That was such a beautiful strat from the guard. Again, the guard known for their methodical play most of the time, but the thing that they are also so good at is just being able to be dynamic and throw in those pacing changes just when you least expect it. And that was beautifully orchestrated as far as their utility usage goes. They use orbital strike in such a way to just clear out the entire back right-hand corner of A side. What does that do? It gives you a guaranteed free lane to attack the site from, right? So you smoke heaven, you smoke the rotation elbow, you know that the entire right side of A is clear because you've hit it with the orbital, and then that just gives you all the space you need to pave way to control site. If anybody decides to get gimmicky and try to peek the smoke, you're already there waiting.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what Jonah P was able to do. So, again, this a very tactically strong team in the guard, pulling off a good play there.
Wow. Well, John will get one on the exit. Round will end, and the guard will now all of a sudden be up in the lead 9-8. It has been flawless offense to this point. And, well, M80, it's just one of those things of it just doesn't feel like anything's working at the moment. And I just don't know how you make the call here after a timeout and a full buy. You just didn't find really anything at all.
Dude, it is crazy how much Jonah P has leveled up for Ascension. I mean, the guy was always a solid player. Again, more of a supportive element, so never really in the limelight, so to speak. But he's actually number 4 in KD at this tournament. And he's also up there in some of the other categories that maybe he wasn't ranked as highly in Challengers. Like, Land Jonah P is a different beast.
Sure. Well, M80 will kind of take away some focus through showers here. And they're going to play pretty passive over towards the B screens while the Trailblazer clears out B long. Showstopper out. EU will step away from that by way of the teleporter. But again, that is, again, so much space cleared out. The guard will control halls. They'll control through the site. And that last little Showstopper hit up towards heaven will also make this M80 defense really have to consider what they want to do for the retake. Seekers are out, though. Offense trying to, again, delay the inevitable. Sniper rifle for Tex, watching the cross. Predicted it the whole way through. M80 completely stuck, trying to find their way in, but they just don't have any information at all. And you can kind of see they're just hoping someone's going to peek them, and there's no reason for the guard to do that. Shorty out for net, that will work. Back to the rifle. John Cutie a bit caught, and there is just no ground anywhere for M80 to work with.
No, not at all. Again, just another beautifully orchestrated A execute from guard. Showstopper to pave a way forward, clear out the entirety of lamps and the site itself.
They're dead.
They use that to get the spike planted, and they find themselves some beautiful post-plant positioning, playing the close corners and lamps to perfection. Tex having the operator inside, you know, halls to play the long-range battle. And now they're up 10-8, looking to take this pick, try to get themselves ahead in the series.
Last player standing.
It's been as calm as it could be
on
the offensive side, especially consider that, again, based on the first half, the eye test kind of checked out for how M80 were playing their offensive half, but they just have not had a chance to contest a single plant. It's just been almost borderline too easy, I would say, right now for the guard on the offensive half.
Yeah, the guard have definitely dictated the pace of this entire side. I mean, they've been able to get whatever map control they've wanted. They've been able to take sites with ease. They've always seemingly been out ahead in the initial trades. And M80 has kind of been battered into submission. Like, they're not really able to play forward or disruptive. Like, they're kind of almost forced to play more of a safe style that they're not as privy to.
Again, there's the Trailblazer information. Oh, good counter, though. Haunt comes through. Also, the follow-up from Nismo works out. So we go 2 for 1, the exchange. Nismo finding everything in this round at the moment. Tex battles back for 1, but Nismo goes Showstopper. And, oh, it doesn't actually hit Jonah P. He was inside the middle of the container. QualiNoob still finds the kill, but it's Tex for a 1v2 situation. Flash out, steps away from it, makes the contact, finds the first headhunter. No, not gonna quite land as QualiNoob takes him down, and M80 bring it back to within 1.
That was really on a razor's edge, though, man. He was almost gonna pull that one off. He was playing that so smart. But M80 just about hold on. Beautiful combination of utility from the paint shells of Nismo, as well as, I believe, a seize that landed for EU inside the front of Hookah. Held it in place for the paint shells to pop them.
Enemy remaining.
Insane the Showstopper miss. Let's not forget about that. Not sure what happened there. That was pretty wild.
enemy remaining.
Winds up being no harm, no foul. The M80 do collect the win, but at a huge cost. They have to rebuy 4 players. Keeps their
Absolutely.
economy very reserved. You can see the repercussions. Guardian and a Judge are out.
Yeah, but the Viper's Pit still makes this Judge very deadly, so.
True. Very true.
M80 are going to feel pretty comfortable about holding on towards this mid position at A, and in fact, they're going to send 3 members over to watch B, 2 of them in particular playing right at the edge of long, and opening contact. Nisbo just gets
What an
1 for
angle.
free.
You just don't
Yeah.
expect that. You just can never really anticipate someone's going to be playing that spot. Catches them completely off guard.
Oh, the flash being held here by John Cutie. The guard looking to try to break their way on through. EU's watching the cross. EU does get the first. There's the flash follow-up coming through. John Cutie does it with the Guardian. Little tap-tap-taparoo. Upgrades it now to a more formal AR.
Is that your
and
new
net,
single
we'll see
coming
this
out on
round.
Spotify next week?
It's
the Tap and Tap You?
It's another Happy Gilmore reference that you missed from earlier, by man.
It's fine. I thought Tap Tap Taparoo sounded like a new single. I could see it.
Could be. It's not too late.
It's never too late.
30 seconds left.
Okay, so this is better for M80.
Yes.
Now, the thing about it is, can they continue to put this same kind of pressure on when they don't have things like a Judge Viper's Pit combo?
True.
I mean, they still have an Orbital Strike, still have things like a Nightfall, so there's still a lot of tools here for M80 to try to get this through the finish line, but
10 seconds left.
I don't know if I'm convinced yet off these last 2 rounds.
Yeah, it's just getting interesting now. The Gar were very dominant. I mean, they were on a tear to kick off this half on the attacking side. They had a couple of very beautiful A set pieces that were just played as well as you could ever hope as far as how they were layering their utility, how they were using their timings and spacing to just, take control and get spiked down and get in good post-fight positions and then capitalize. But this was a beautiful bait and switch play from John Cutie and EU at Octagon.
Spike down B.
John Cutie able to rattle off a couple of Guardian frags there and basically shut the round down, upgrade weapons as well, and now put us all square at 10 apiece. And so, you're starting to see another tight game here similar to Ascent, where it kind of came down in the last couple rounds of the side of things, and once again, that is what these 2 teams will be called upon to do.
Oh, yeah.
Who will respond? That's going to be the question. Can M80 convert a win on Bind on their first time of ever asking, playing the map? Or can the Guard use the advantage you would think they would have based on their resume on the map and their fluency and comfort to get the job done and take the edge?
And I think this has to be for the Guard, putting a little bit maybe more attention into trying to count out the utility coming from the Sky and the Fade on the other side, because the last couple of rounds, the Prowlers, the Flashes, the Trailblazers, they've all found tons of value in controlling the outsides of the map.
Right.
So if you're looking at this from the Guard's point of view, are we going to try to commit some extra resources and try to dominate those outside plays, or do you just kind of wait it out a little bit longer and pull like an old school T1 strategy of don't show anything until 30 seconds left in the round and then hit something?
I mean, that's the thing. Guard can play all styles. I mean, we talked about that multiple times throughout this series, and I feel like that's such an important point to reiterate, is how dynamic they are on this attack. They're different styles that they can bring to the table. Again, so far, the bulk of their success has been on the set pieces, but yeah, maybe you do just kind of slow it down, use your map fluency to kind of poke and prod and try to catch M80, in a tough spot where they don't know how to rotate.
Well, this could be interesting. A little poke and prod on both sides of the map simultaneously.
Love it.
The offensive toxin screen kind of covers over through mid. Koala Noob is sniping very forward with the operator on the Brimstone. He sees one, and yeah, huge connection. Trent will drop. And now the Guard have to kind of consider what exactly do we do from here, because you don't really have a lot of information on what's still on this A's side. And, well, if they peek this, they may get punished. Xander getting one would be fine, but EU pops through. He finds 2 of his own. And now it's just down to Jonah P as them 80 have come to life here in the defensive half.
They just keep running into these bait and switch plays on these choke points that M80 keeps setting up. I mean, last round it was Octagon that they did it. This round's on short. They just swing off each other so well. And Koala winds up getting 2 operator frags with the Brimstone, so he probably leads the tournament in Brimstone op frags, I would imagine. another fun stat for you. I try.
Knife headshots and
Yeah,
Brim
I
snipes.
mean, these are the types of things you don't get on your website of choice, all right? You only get it from your boy Dust here in the broadcast, okay? Let me let you know. As he certainly hit a couple of nice ones this round. I like that the Guard were doing the split pressure early. I mean, I was a big fan of that. It's just, unfortunately, they got picked apart by the op that they probably were not anticipating from Qual, if I had to guess. And then again, there's another bait and switch play pans out for M80. And now they're ahead 11-10.
And the economy for the guard starts to become a little bit thinner here.
Yep.
Tour should be out for Tex. Credits are starting to fall, though, across the board. But it looks like this very well may just be a very quick execute through showers, and Noob seem to be thinking the exact same thing. So he drops an early molly off, still has a smoke, and more importantly, the orbital strike if he needs it, so he backs up safely into U-Haul to try to hold his life.
Yeah, Nismo actually re-clear showers after the fact as well, which is very interesting. He'll play inside the smoke. Tex does have the big boomstick. Tour de force.
Whoa, early.
Yeah, I'm curious if that was just a stall for some reason. That seemed really weird.
Well, they're gonna toggle with Seekers right afterwards. That's the hit through mid, actually. It's coming through as Jonah P. Seekers out, and Tex eventually does connect on to Nismo. So now the kills lead to an opportunity for the guard to make their way on towards A or move in towards EU's direction. How many does he get? No, just one. Follow up though, John Cutie's got an operator out, and the guard has to be thinking, how many options do these guys have? 3v2 situation. Spam fire coming out from Noob doesn't quite get the job done. Viper's pit being placed. Xander catches Tex on the rotation over. We'll have an even 2v2. But look at this Viper's pit. I mean, you're gonna have a hard time getting net out of that position. Xander's gonna have to wander his way in. A couple of the pre-fire shots are already in, but Noob was looking to see if maybe he could catch net on the other side. Doesn't work out, and we'll go 11-11. Make a wish.
My wish is already being fulfilled, Shift. That's it. We're getting a glorious grand finals between these two North American squads who have been battling it out all year long. Again, they sit at even 2 series apiece, but maybe the guard own the most important of all thus far, which is a series on land. But this is the true biggest of all. It'll settle the score. One team will be ahead 3-2 in series count, and one team will be moving on the VCT the next couple of years. So I don't really have to do a whole lot of the 11-11, man. I'm getting what I want out of this. I think the fans are too. Getting some great Valorant here on this map.
Well, here we go. Another different look here from M80. It's going to be Nismo pushing through and deep into showers this time around. Orbital strike out. That is going to block off the front, and Tex catches an ankle. Oh, Nismo tries to break the timing with the blast pack. Doesn't quite work out. And then the follow-up from the Showstopper turns this into a 5v3 situation where M80 are going to have to save.
Yeah, they played that orbital strike play again, but this time they used it in a different location. They didn't quite hit through the right side of A at the same pace. So it was a little bit of this small tweak in the details that I think threw M80 for a bit of a loop. I think they were looking to just kind of directly contest showers and catch the guard staging there, and they really didn't. Texas playing it more back defensively, able to catch some big frags there. Obviously, the Showstopper Trent also grabbed one. And now it is the guard at map point looking to go up 2-1 in the series. M80, though, still with a shot at bringing this into OT. And again, if they could somehow steal behind from guard, having no reps on the map, and considering what maps are up next, you start to think that maybe the needle starts to move towards M80 just a touch. But if the guard can get the job done here on Bind, they are certainly no slouches themselves in the maps coming up. So definitely looking to try to
grab
this
is a big one, what you're saying.
Yes.
I mean, this round right here could be huge. And the thing about it is the guard do not have any more ultimates to play with. You've got Seekers and a Nightfall at the ready for M80. They will have no more cheeky operators in play. In fact, it'll just be Tex going uncontested. And for the guard, it looks like they're going to try to use that, try to catch something off the mid opening. Smokes down early. A little bit of pre-fire from Noob does force out a flash, and that will be the end of that battle.
Trailblazer will make sure that no one's left. It's going to spot 2 players there over towards A side. He spots the Viper and the Brim. So it gives him a little bit of a read of the lay of the land.
Oh, good prowler.
Very well done.
Poison's off.
I mean,
holy.
So awkward, so close.
Tex is looking for a pixel to peek through. Not going to work out. He will hold this position at Cubby, though. Xander has backed up to try to help out over towards shower side. The spike is rotating, though, over towards B. Seekers will be called. The defense is going to get a lot of information off of that, but they rotate almost right into the waiting arms of Jonah P. They flush him out. The isolated kill is good. Flash for John Cutie. He's going to step maybe even into this play a little while longer. Nightfall just to try to assist him, and no, will not be able to do too much. And EU tries to follow up, but the guard will battle back. 3v3 situation. Tex trying to work his way over, but it's Trent to strike first. Nismo from inside the site gets two. Now it's just down to Trent, and he will fall. Overtime it is for Bind.
And that was looking shaky the whole way, if we're honest. It didn't seem like the defense was going to hold at Octagon. John Cutie, yeah, he got the flash. Yeah, the Nightfall came in, but they kept facing and taking duels to where the effects of the Nightfall had minimal impact. They were getting rinsed, if we're honest. But then Nismo, with the triple, saves the day and keeps this in contest, and the two teams represented there, I guess you could say, brawling it out. This is certainly a massive fight breaking out here on Bind, a map we probably didn't expect to be contested this well by M80, considering we had nothing to go off of, but they hang around and force extra rounds.
And the thing about it is they're starting to build a little bit of familiarity with what they want to do on the defensive side, so this hasn't maybe just been dictated by all offense. Both teams putting it together late in their defensive halves to keep things relatively tight. That may be the difference maker here in this OT. The guard walking up B-long again, and Koala Noob. I thought for sure he would get at least one, but not the case, and extra information for the guard that the spike is down.
Certainly can't fault him on the crosshair plays. It seemed to be dead on, but just didn't quite pull the trigger quick enough, and it's him going down instead. So advantage guard here on the defense on this first OT half. Spike still lingering over at Fountain. Slowly, we're seeing EU try to get some control of hookah position. Jonah P just playing for info. Jiggling here, does spot a couple. We'll go ahead and back off, just trying to play the numbers.
Rest of the defense not going to move, though. This will be a 4v3 on the site. And a lot of the defensive utility will be spent here. And actually, the Trailblazer doesn't see how many M80 members are still here. So this will be a little bit questionable, I would say, as far as what the guard are facing up against.
Yep.
M80 just waiting for the proper time to hit. On rotation right now is Trent, but the hit is on the way. Oh, what a molly that is. Chips away at so many health pools. Jonah P will follow up and make good on the damage. Well, EU maybe had something to say about it, but only getting two leaves this now to a 1v3 scenario for John Cutie, and VALORANT will not allow him to get even one of them. Advantage guard.
Yeah, they handled that very well. They detected the long B presence early. They didn't overplay the hand there. They kept fading back. They kept chaining the utility to keep them at bay. Eventually, they force them through a Molotov. They take a lot of chip damage. And just in general, we are able to see the guard hold on defensively there. And so they will take the advantage. Need this one to take the map. If M80 secure it, we extend the OT. You know how it goes.
Yep, glass cannon for Tex this round here as well, Dust.
That could be interesting. You got to know it's possible, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
It's a risky call, but with that agent, it makes sense.
Oh, first time we've seen this. There's been a lot of back and forth 50-50 battles over towards Showers, but M80 will walk through, barely even spending anything. I don't even know if they used any utility to clear that out.
They dried the whole way, and now they get detection at long with the guiding light. And they're going to split this flank up. They're going to have all routes covered. Shift. This could be very dangerous depending on timing.
All right, here we go. Fireworks to determine if we have extra overtime or if it will be the guard going up 2-1. The hit's still not underway as of yet. This is perfect from M80. They're just not giving them anything. But the trademark reveals the player on the back. And now all of a sudden, the guard are going to back up, see if they can maybe isolate. The thing they don't know about, though, is that the brim of Koala Noob has made its way all the way over towards Fountain. Nismo still gets one. The teleport gets used to come back over towards A. But the numbers are good for M80. We've got a 5v3.
Yeah, they're able to get across the spike to A at the very least, but they are at a two-man disadvantage in this post-plant hold. Trent, though, is aggressive inside Heaven, and they're also playing aggressive at elbow. So there's still some ways in for guard here.
Trent got an orb as well. He only needs one kill for Showstopper. This could be unbelievably massive. VALORANT, first contact. He just taps at it. No worries. Here comes the follow-up. Tex. Oh, he's flashed and he finds the shot onto Xander. Oh, no. Not like this. All of a sudden, we're down to a 2v2. Showstopper earned for Trent. Doesn't know where to spend it yet. John Cutie on the corner.
Remaining.
He takes down EU instead, though. Now the paint shell's re-earned. Timing not going to earn out here. John Cutie would have to hop it right now, and he's not going to be able to. Trent will technically clutch it up for the guard, who take map number 3 and 2 straight overtime.
What a beautiful pivot. Things were looking rough. It was a 3-on-5, but they made the call to swap over to the opposite site. They put Trent in aggressive position in heaven. Tex plays the op perfectly up close and elbow, despite the pressure that was being lobbed at him. And then when Trent's called upon, the clutch, a beautiful use of Showstopper and paint shells to kill the clock and take the victory, and that is big. That is a win that they absolutely required. It's a map that they were the favorite coming into, but M80 certainly caused a bit of a disturbance with their own first half performance. Made you start to question exactly how that thing was going to go, but in the end, while it took extra rounds, the guard took care of business and they go up 2-1.
It's definitely tippable from M80. And again, I think the overarching reaction for M80 still has to be, look, we just needed to get one of the first 3. That had to have been some sort of the game plan early. Them coming on winning map 1, though, could have been a mental shift saying, all right, we took away their map, let's just win ours on Haven, and all of a sudden this series is ours for the taking.
How close
Not
it could be.
necessarily the case, but I still think overall for M80, you're happy with the fact that you got through the first 3 maps being very competitive map you've never played before, and on top of that, you still have a chance to make your way into map 4, map 5 that are still pretty darn good for you overall.
It's crazy
That said,
to think,
though,
Shift, that this one round is why this series isn't over yet.
The thing is, you can't think about that if you're the guard.
Sure.
Like, flat out. Like, things happen.
It's just funny.
And
It's like when in hindsight, you just think about it, you're like, man, one round, this thing could have been over already. But
yeah,
M80 have a lifeline. They look sharp, like you said. I think that does build some confidence that they were able to like get some work done on Bind and like show, you know, a pretty good look of themselves. I think all things considered. But the guard do indeed get the job done.
Yeah, and I think the thing too about M80 is how well they set themselves up for this map in the first place. Like, getting yourself a huge offensive start. Then the double initiator worked out really nicely for them, but then on defense, it just took them a little bit too long to figure out how they wanted to use the Fade in the Sky in terms of, do we just get information and then just be happy with that, or do we get information and then challenge into that information? It was more of the latter early on, and obviously it really wasn't working out for them all that well. Eventually that changed, and the tides turned just a touch, but yeah, interesting things to say the least. I'm sure that'll be a conversation point for tournaments and competitive events future if M80 find themselves on Bind. But for us now, we have to send things back over to Baka and the desk as we have a 2-1 tally. The guard currently find themselves up.
You know, it's interesting. I was looking through the history books going back to the match that these two
Got a
teams
massive headache.
faced off
Fuck,
against
bro.
each other back in the grand finals of playoffs. And if you remember correctly, map 1 starts out close, then map 2 is a blowout, then it's close maps 3 and 4. And we're on pace currently to match the pattern that was developed there, as this time we do make it into overtime. But Tanner, it's gonna be the guard who is walking away victorious here on Bind, albeit barely.
Yeah, and I know that Dustin Shift kind of hit the hindsight of, you know, this series would be over,
Sure.
but it's very clear that that has been erased from the guard. From map 2 to map 3, map 2 obviously a different look, but coming into this one, they're down 4 to 8 at the half. They were probably pretty surprised by the strength of the M80 first half. I think maybe they underestimated them a little bit, but then they just buckle down and they get it done.
They did get dangerously close, though, to throwing
Yeah.
this game away, too. I mean, you look at the way that Ascent ended, it was a 4v2. They very likely could have taken things into overtime. No guarantees they would have won there. But here, they could have closed things out in regulation, and they lose a 1v3 to Nismo. So, you know, obviously, things can easily turn on their heads at the tail end. M80 did force things into overtime, but the guard do walk away victorious, and that is a stat we don't often see line up. First bloods to successes, 12 for M80, 14 for the guard. Obviously, there's no direct correlation because there's not necessarily a guarantee that those rounds were always the rounds they'd won, but it is an interesting stat to see. But the one that does continue to be true, and it was what we saw in the last map as well here, the post plants for the guard, rock solid. They have looked so incredibly good. I'm pretty sure they were 11 for 12 on Haven, and they are 9 for 9 here.
Yeah, it shows. And both teams have a really good attacking side, both halves were 8-4, and they brought it into OT and were able to close it this time, as we were talking about on Ascent. It was super close for them to bring it into OT again, but they weren't able to close it. This time around, they felt the revenge and were able to do so. Nismo really shined for me in this match. He went 25 and 18. His movements with the satchels were incredible. He really understands the abilities and utilities that Raze has. Got multiple kills multiple times with the rocket, and overall really excelled for me.
I do want to bring up that in the first half, to go back to maybe the guard kind of underestimating, good for the guard fans that they've recognized, but I feel like their defense was kind of how M80 wanted them to play. Bach, you had mentioned it, where they weren't really playing the extremities. They weren't really trading space that was kind of given to them or allowed to them. They were really just fighting on site. I think you could go back to that first half and probably take 6 replays, and all of them would have a 1v something fight inside U-Haul, where guard defenders are playing alone and losing that duel, which, if you're assuming anything, if M80 don't have anything cooked up here, you know that these guys are going to be able to win fights. They just are. So if you give them that opportunity, and I think that's kind of what happened in that first half, the guard were still waiting for things to boil before they could start cooking. But when we swapped sides, we saw that first round of OT, the guard are immediately fighting for that space. They immediately flipped the script on how their defense looked the first time.
Yeah, it did look like guard was playing maybe a little bit more pensive on the map. And as a result, it was giving M80 a little bit more map control. And the fact is, M80 didn't have a sentinel, so the flank wasn't as protected as it would be for potentially the guard on their attacking side, as you didn't have those trips down to guarantee that maybe your backside was a little bit safer. As a result, the guard could have exploited that a little bit more. Obviously, they still walk away victorious, so it's a moot point, but it is something to look at when you're looking at this team's bind in the future, how they're going to approach the map in general.
Yeah, that's a good point that you bring up, Buck. I think that's something that they struggled on the defense side. They only got 4 rounds, and they definitely could have utilized that there was nobody that was on the flank. Essentially, they could have pushed multiple times, and it wasn't until round 10 when they finally started to show a little bit of aggression. They're playing with the chamber. They definitely could have done a few more aggressions, either on short, because the chamber could TP out. They can also hold deep in showers, deep long. This is something that I wanted to see for them. It wasn't until round 10, as you can see, that they started to do that. They stacked forward towards the B site, but I want to highlight how M80 was able to adapt. They knew that it was stacked at B. They took the TP. Tex wasn't even able to get away with one pick, but at least he tried on short. Then we have this incredible round. They ulted up short with the Raze rocket. Also, Brim ulted showers, so they had 2 options. They either had to push up into a rocket or push back into an op. Either way, I really love this idea that we saw from them.
And it was at a point in the game, too, when M80's money was just not good. So ultimately, those 2 players who were playing a little bit more tilted towards showers to start the round, like you mentioned, they had to either push through that Brim ult and get into showers where they were wandering into an op, or walk backwards into a Showstopper, which ends up killing one of them anyway, because they go into showers, the one dies the op, the other one tries to get back away, and the Showstopper's right there. At that point, it's a 5-on-3 within the first 20 seconds of the round. The remaining players have not even gotten into spawn yet. Round's over. Money is not good. They cannot take it. It's a really good push-button round coming in from the guard to try to take things to a close. Unfortunately, they do lose a round right after that to a 1v3, so what could have been the conclusion for them ends up being closer to a conclusion, but still not quite what they needed. But at least it did guarantee overtime. But we do have another map coming up in this series. We are not done yet. Another close one as the guard and M80 continue to fight for control. We're going to Pearl next. We'll be back in a bit.
I can say safer socially. Please give me a corpse. Give me a corpse.
Give me a corpse.
Time to hunt.
Time to hunt.
Molly. Steam beacon down. Molly. I think we should kill someone with a headshot. It's pretty cool. Like, oof, stuff like that. Oof. Você não matará meus aliados. It's like the Uchi from Sage. Wait, I'm trying to. What are jet lines? I don't even know jet lines. Wait. Okay, okay, I'll do jet. Jet knives. Watch this. Watch this. I am the hunter. Hi. Here comes the party. Here comes the party. Oh, I think a voice line from Brimstone, he's like, you got a stubborn ass or something. But I forgot the full thing, but I know he says you have a stubborn ass. And he says it in like a Brimstone voice, you know, it's kind of funny.
Brimstone's a stubborn ass.
Boo. Almost says boo. Perfect.
I guess Jet, watch this.